Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video doing the ECMWF 22 date slash 6 week look ahead for today's second video focusing on the UK and Ireland, and I shall get on with that for you in a moment. Just to say that the first video, let's say, well, the 6 AM upload, we get forecasts and a 10 to 14 day coming up for you later on today as well, so please like, share, subscribe on the videos. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. The wider European outlook with this ECMWF extended one is on a Tuesday, by the way, so if you just focus on either the UK for this Saturday morning upload, but the wider European extended look ahead is always on a Tuesday. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much to EC, I don't know, for supplying the charts. Thanks, EC. Right, okay, so we can start off with week one, mean sea level pressure anomaly, taking us from the 16th to the 23rd of January. So next week we'll have a mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland with low pressure across northern and western parts of Europe. That's going to bring the wind into a cold northerly down the western side of Europe. And the 500 millibar height anomaly for next week looks like that, with above average heights in the Atlantic and below average heights across the northwest Europe. Again, there's a dip in the jet stream in the 500 millibar flow, looking pretty cold and wintry. So look at this temperature anomaly. It's next week. Well. Gonna be colder than average there for the UK and Ireland. Goodness gracious me. I don't know, do you? Below average temperatures next week. And the precipitation anomaly, it's still a little bit on the wetter side actually, especially around coastal areas. Of course, with it being cold, that could be indicative of wintry showers. Right, well, that's week one done. Looks very interesting to start us off, doesn't it? Turn up for the book. Right, well, let's have a look at week two, which will be the 23rd to the 30th of January. Here we go. Oh, now that's quite interesting. We've got high pressure over Scandinavia, centre. High pressure generally across Northern Europe, but the centre of it is right over Scandinavia. Low pressure is out to the west. That's going to be trying to get the wind into an easterly, I would have thought. Could be a little bit southerly. So it could probably is a bit milder there, but if that high pressure centres and strengthens over Scandi and start lowering the heights in the in the Med, then that could be in business for an easterly. Let's have a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly. That's how it's looking. So above average heights generally covering most parts of Europe there. Temperature anomalies for the final week of January. Oh! We go milder. Look at that. Go milder. So it must be bringing up some sort of southerly influence there, despite the Scandinavian high and whatnot. I'm a little bit unsure about that. Precipitation anomalies look like this. So, so near not to like drier really. I think it's a drier week with high pressure away to our east. Okay, let's have a look at week 3, which will be the 30th of January to the 6th of February. I'm so sorry, everybody. Right, so this week, ran out now. This week, the high pressure begins to retreat away in towards the northeast Europe and the northwest of Russia as low pressure deepens in the Atlantic and starts to probably bring milder, wetter and windy weather in from the west in the first week of February. 500 millibar height anomalies look like that, with the below average heights in the Atlantic, the above average heights to our east retreating a little bit as the Atlantic winds and the low pressure edging from the west. Temperature anomalies look like that. So average to a little bit on the milder, but average side, and the precipitation anomaly. Look at this, starting to go wetter again. Drat. The deluge comes back through the first week of February. Right, week 4 will be the 6th to the 13th of February. Here we go. And a little bit mysterious this week. So, we've got high pressure over Eastern Europe. Low pressure was Greenland and Iceland. Probably just bringing like a westerly there, I would have thought. But it is a little bit of a weak signal. The 500 millibar Heights has low pressure again in the Atlantic, so that's bringing more westerly winds and wet weather in the temperature anomaly. Actually, not much of a signal, but it is more than average just to east. And the precipitation anomaly hints at being a bit on the wet side, especially so to west. Right, we're cooking with gas now, everybody. Week 5 will be the 13th to the 20th of February. This is it. And it's looking unsettled this week with deep low pressure to the north and winds coming in from off the Atlantic, a bit like that. The 500 millibar height anomaly looks unsettled with low pressure in the North Atlantic, wet and windy. Here we go, the temperature anomaly, you've guessed it. Yeah, it's a milder than average week there across most parts of Europe, the UK, and Ireland is included in that. And the precipitation anomaly, it's a weakish signal, but does seem being on the wet side. And then lastly, week 6 will be the 20th, 27th of February. Here we go. And it still looks a little bit on the unsettled side. It is a very weak signal, but low pressure is still in the Atlantic. The 500 millibar height anomaly to the end of February looks like that, with low pressure in the Atlantic. Notice a little bit of high pressure building over the North Pole. Just of note, the temperature anomaly is milder than average. And lastly, precipitation anomaly is still having very little signal, but is a bit wet just to our west. Right, well, that's that done then. That's that out the way for another week. So it looks cold next week. That's the first thing to say. I'd like 2 or 3 weeks. So the thing with this is, everybody I know in the comments will be focusing on how mild this update is, from week 2 onwards. The thing you have to think with this, though, is like 2 or 3 weeks ago, was this model indicating a cold week for next week? I don't think it was. So that's the pinch of salt and the large caveats that you have to take with all of these, extended forecasts beyond 10 days. So just keep that in mind. So we've got a cold week coming up next week that the ECMWF did not forecast like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then, beyond that, it looks very mild through the end of January, and February looks a complete write-off for anything cold. But, next week's cold weather wasn't picked up 2 or 3 weeks ago. So let's wait and see what happens. That's it for this one then. We're going to be back later on with your weekend forecast and our 10 in the morning day as well. That'll bring up to date with all the latest stratospheric developments, I would have thought. But for this week's ECMWF 42-day forecast, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.